Well, hello, everybody. It's good to see you, but I can't see you. So I hope you can see me, for better or worse. But anyway, thanks for joining us this morning. Week number 49 of the Roundtable. And I'm Tom Kuhn. I'm your host, curator, whatever you want to call me. And the whole idea with these roundtables is to acknowledge that while money isn't the most important thing in life, it's like oxygen on a gotta have it scale, and things can get crazy. So the reason for the roundtable is to create community around the issues and opportunities, particularly as they connect back to the finance function, as well as financial related metrics. So we're from Qnity here. And what we do is we take what could be complicated, confusing, and overwhelming and help create a clearer path to your financial goals. During these roundtables, we lend heavily on our brain trust, of which we'll be tapping into several of our brain trust members today. We're going to do it clubhouse style again, but we definitely have some good topics for you today. Light bulb moment. We had some great light bulb moments last week as we had several people share. We had Tracy, we had Kip, we had Sam. I can't even remember who else we invited into the conversation, but so any of you I've neglected, my apologies. Everybody made a great contribution last week, so thank you. Past recordings of these, I was just talking to someone a little bit ago and they said, hey, I've got a conflict every single week at this time with the leadership meeting. No problem. You can watch these great sessions on YouTube. It's also in the Plan for Profits portal for those of you that are going through this, going through the profit curriculum with us. We've got some great sponsors, Aura and Vish, thank you. The 9 Grid is Qnity's visual thinking tool that we send out in advance. You can find your own light bulb moment with this. And last week, we talked about mid-year check-in. We also talked about agility. I got some great feedback from Christine. Good morning, Christine B, not Christine G. So I'm going to share with you what she said. How is it? We're already in the middle of 2021. This is Christine Buhar from DV8 in Texas. Good morning, Christine. We're going to save you from coming off the mic, but you did such a great job. So I want to share this with the group. Time has been flying by and I've been hyper-focused on agility since last week's roundtable because of how applicable it is to maximize the time we have to impact those around us in the business. We continue to see outstanding growth in our stylists individually from 2-number growth and some of the tracking that they're doing. Mid-year projection budget analysis, it's time to reassess and adjust accordingly to where the business is right now. And she also said complexity does not equal productivity and success. We're looking at things from a very simple lens. It comes back to agility. Great share. Thank you. She also talked about the importance of having a mid-year plan. So that was great stuff. So to give you a framework that we follow in these calls, we have something called 5 functions. And 5 functions breaks down the business into a very simple structure into the most identifiable areas of which to create leadership, to create plans around, budgets around, and it's so 5 functions. And the primary focus of this roundtable is the finance function, but you cannot move one arm of the business without all the others. We are going to spend a fair amount of time talking about human capital again today. And let me just see here. So with that, I am going to come off of the PowerPoint. And but I've got just a little thing to inspire you. I love this quote. Okay, in a moment of happiness is always a good place to catch yourself. Okay, so marinate on that one a little bit. Let me know what you think of that quote. You know, sometimes in our quest to get everything done, guilty as charged, occasionally it's a good idea to just take a pause and find yourself in a moment of happiness. I'm happy to be with all of you today because this is week number 49. Next week will be week number 50. Ironically, I won't even be here on week 50, and it's just by pure coincidence. So we are going to have some guests host next week, and they're going to do a meeting takeover. I'm not going to tell you who they are yet, but it's one of these things I'm just going to have to let go because I'm going to be off with a client. And so next week, celebrating week number 50, you're going to have to do without me. And you might be well served with that. So anyway, I love that quote. So let me get into some topics right away for you today. And good morning, April. Glad you joined us, by the way. I'd say hi to all of you, but I want to keep things moving here. So Aaron, my partner in crime, Michelle is off today. She's normally the co-host and my production sidekick, but she is very busy getting ready for a big shoot we have coming this weekend. So she has a pass today, and Aaron is going to not fill in, but Aaron is going to hand the mic. Aaron, would you give the mic to Trent Lange, please, and invite Trent into the conversation. Good morning, Leon. Glad you could join us. So Trent, when you have the mic, just start speaking and I'll get to the first topic of the day. All right. And it has to do with P&Ls. And what this is, okay, you can't give it to him. Maybe I need to give you the mic there. Let's see here. How do I do this? Trent, allow to talk. Okay. Trent, are you, oh, there you are. Okay.
Hey, Tom.
Good morning. You're welcome to use camera if you want. You're a good looking guy, or you can be, go rogue. What do you want to do?
It does not give me that option.
Doesn't give you the option. All right. Well, we're just gonna hear your voice today. So, good morning, Bobby. So Trent, you and I had a conversation yesterday that inspired me, and it's gonna actually inspire this group to an upcoming session. And you had a couple questions related with the P&L. And we had a great conversation yesterday. You're a regular member of the Brain Trust. And essentially, if I heard your questions right, what you were dealing with was you were looking at the P&L from a less traditional way. And in particular, you saw some issues with bundling all of the technology related costs under IT on your P&L. Am I correct so far?
Yes. The traditional P&L ended up mixing multiple functions in the business, adding things in which would bloat areas of the P&L that I didn't agree with, and then they also didn't represent where our business was investing heavily. So those were the three.
Well, we have a solution for you, and it's a little bit of a deeper dive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mention to the group here, we are going to be having a full session on P&Ls. And we're going to do it in July because I've been in the lab working on some new versions of a P&L. And anyway, so Trent, let me further describe maybe your situation, or even in my company. So we have something like a constant contact, for example. We might also have a subscription for our POS. We might also have subscriptions that relate with an education platform. And to your point, if you look at a traditional P&L under the operating expenses, all of those would be lumped into one line. What I'm suggesting, and you're right on track with this, is it actually should be broken out by function. So constant contact marketing, POS system operations, etc. It lends very, very well to the 5 functions. And so I'll be introducing a 5-function P&L in July. It's going to be part of our profit curriculum. So that's a little bit of a heads up. And the P&L is, I feel like I'm going a little bit of a rant here, Trent, just bear with me a little bit. I'm part of some groups that are working really, really hard to help unite the beauty industry. And one of the issues with the beauty industry is it's one of the only industries that doesn't have a standardized P&L. So if we were to collect all your P&Ls, I can put them on a wall and they look like art because they're all different. So there's absolutely opportunity for greater unity in terms of something very simple, such as what a P&L would look like. And there's a lot of common errors. So Trent, I don't want to take over your topic here, but I did want to mention to the team that this is a really big opportunity for us as an industry. And then us also as leading the roundtables to give you a little more guidance on this. I spent an entire semester with 15 MBA students from UMass Boston working specifically on what a P&L should look like. We collected like 40 salon P&Ls. We looked at the format, best practices, and we came up with recommended, not only based upon what we found in our research, but also standards that are set by other industries. So anyway, P&L conversation. Who of you would like to be part of a conversation that exclusively looks at the P&L? Who's interested in it? And is there anyone that wants to be involved? Please put it in the chat. All right. Yes, of course, Christine, you can be part of it, and Francie. All right, great. So I'm going to guess that we'll do that in the second or third week of July, because I need to show you something, because what it's going to do, it's going to take a traditional P&L that fits under the most commonly used and template for the industry, but then also integrate 5 functions into it. Here's the deal with the P&L. P&L can look however the hell you want it to look like. There is something called generally accepted accounting principles that you would need to use if you were a public company, or if you were abiding by compliances by banks or whatever. Otherwise, your P&L can look like however it wants. And the most important thing is the P&L is used to help you drive your business growth. So anyway, Trent, I did way too much talking there, but we definitely have some interest on this topic. So thank you for the question.
Absolutely.
And is there anything else you want to say? Because we've got another really important topic to get to next.
No, I don't think so. I think this is a good topic to get into. Most of the accounting and financial reporting tools that are out there don't allow you to have 3 and 4 views of your income statement or your financial statement. So this is a good way to take a good look at it to come up with something standardized.
Excellent. All right. So Trent, we will invite you back to be part of that. Thanks for the question. And thanks for providing some leadership that's going to be a catalyst for us to addressing that in the future.
Excellent. Thanks, Tom.
All right. Let's get to the subject of human capital. And I would love to get some participation. And I love to, one of the beautiful things about this weekly ritual that we have together is that it forces me to really be connected with what's going on in the world. And I was very inspired by an article by Inc. And I'm going to show it to you, okay? All right, there it is, Inc. Here's the title. Everyone wins when leadership focuses on whole human development. Seems like every single day I'm talking about human capital issues, lack of candidates, major labor shortages. I made a comment on a call yesterday, we're in a labor shortage. And it was like, oh, really? We've been in a labor shortage for a very, very long time. And I know that. I know that the professional beauty industry has a major labor challenge. There's, I think, if the number's right, I mean, it's a staggering amount of unfilled jobs right now. And but what struck me to make that comment yesterday is it's not just in the beauty industry. Finding talent, there was a lot of hungry people out there that were looking for work, but we are now competing with Taco Bell, and who in many cases will pay even more than a starting range for a stylist. But the thing that struck me, and the reason I made the comment yesterday, was that it's not just in the beauty industry, it's in all different functions. Word notice in the contractors we work with. So I think that the labor shortage goes beyond to the pervasive one we have in the beauty industry, but to all other positions. I'd love to hear your perspective on this. But let me stay with this article and tell you why it inspired me. So everyone wins when leadership focuses on human development, why leaders need to stop thinking of employees as assets and start working on a more holistic approach to development. Caught my interest. Employees are your greatest asset, and it's a phrase that's right up there with low-hanging fruit and think outside the box. All right, so maybe a little overused. But do employees really want to be considered an asset? And so what this article does is it challenges us to not commoditize people. Leaders are better off trying to help employees become their best selves. And they talk about a framework to guide more fulfilled humans, so they're motivated, innovative, and productive employees, which is our dream, right? So it's basically about focusing on the entire person. And then I read on and it said entire person, including emotional, physical, spiritual, psychological, et cetera. I'm like, wow, that just hit me over the head. Aaron, would you give the mic to Christine Griffith for a moment, please? Okay. Oh, I got to do it. All right. All right. Bear with me, guys. All right, Christine. So what hit me is that we actually have a tool for this, and it is called a life map right here. Okay, so Christine, and let me give you a little context. All right, so this is the instructions to the life map, and this is the actual life map. And the reason I'm bringing it up right now is it's broken down between financial, physical, professional, relational, and spiritual. what people are able to do is they're able to create not just a vision board, but they're also able to create goals, objectives, and action steps for all areas of our life. This is a no-brainer, guys. I mean, if you really want to bring this holistic type approach to your team, I'm going to unapologetically talk about the life map. So Christine, you just had a life map event, didn't you?
I did. Can you hear me?
Yeah, and a little context, Christine, you're down in Venice, Sarasota, in the Florida area. You've got 3 locations. You're partnered with my good friend, your husband, James, and you're just an overall rock star, a great business and a great participant in these roundtables. For thank you. You're part of the Brain Trust. Tell us about the life map and how that maybe made your team feel like they're not commoditized and they're really whole humans.
Okay, well, we were first introduced to the life map at our summit. We have an annual summit, and I promise I'll be brief. So in our summit of 2019, Susanna Feaster hosted the life map for our team. And it is, like you said, it's drilled down to like this really streamlined vision board is what it is. I love this life map. And it focuses on the financial, physical, professional, relational, and spiritual. And our staff make, they know we care about them. That's like our mission statement is we care. And this just honed it in when we had this life map. So fast forward to Summit 2020, I got certified in the tools certification. So I facilitated a life map at our summit for our entire team. And it was very empowering especially because a month later, COVID happened. And so for me, we were talking earlier, I feel like, you said Qnity marries the whole brain. I feel like the life map is like a whole being type of marriage because you are marrying the body, mind, and spirit. And that I love this. I just love that about it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for jumping in with us, Christine, today, and your good work inspiring your team. So I'm going to open this up. If there's anybody else that feels like they want to comment on a focus relay with whole human development, now's your chance to raise your hand. I got to make sure that I see it, or send me some type of note. And Aaron, if I need to give the mic to someone, but anybody else have any comments about this article, this whole idea of employees being an asset and commoditizing them instead of looking at them as a whole person? Anybody else have comments on that? Raise your hand. We'll give you the mic. And then also Sam, if you, Sam Brocato, let's get you off mic because I want to talk about what's on your mind today, the text that you sent me. But anybody have any comments about the whole human development approach? Raise your hand. I'd love to give you the mic before I just give it to someone. All right, well, we're going to come back to that one. All right, Sam. Oh, there was 3 hands. Hold on here. All right. Okay. I don't know who the hands are. For some reason, I can't see the hands. So, okay, Joe. All right, I'm going to give you the mic there, Joe. Joe, I don't see Joe on here. All right. Sorry, guys, for this awkward moment here. Aaron's going to have to put it in the okay, Bridget. Why can't I find? There's Bridget. Well, that was awkward, everybody. Hi, Bridget. Let's get you. Took me a little bit. I wasn't very quick on the draw. How are you today, Bridget?
I'm good. How are you?
You want to weigh in on this topic?
Yes. I feel that it's very, very important to consider your staff and your stylist as a person, not just a number. And that's something that we've always done here. But when we started we're in your Qnity in Action, my salon.
Absolutely. I'm well aware of who you are, Bridget. Thanks for our work together. It's awesome.
Thank you. We're very excited. We've enjoyed it very much. And we've gotten to the point where we've done these one-on-ones with everybody where we've used a Q plan. And the way we used that was we had the first 2 as their 2-number growth. We did it professional. But those second 2, we had everybody concentrate on personal goals. So, we've paired everybody up with each other, and we're all trying to help support each other, not just with our professional goals, but also with our personal goals. And we've been finding it very, very good for everybody. Like, we all know a lot about each other in general, because we're a very close-knit family salon. But this has just been one other way to do that, and it's been wonderful.
Bridget, thank you for your share. I'm going to move
Absolutely.
over to Joe next, and feel free to weigh in on other topics here, Bridget. I love having you involved. And, there's another article that I'm going to go through with all of you today that piggybacks on this a little bit. And this is about younger Americans bearing the brunt of pandemic financial stress. And what the research is showing is that the younger generation is really being much more affected by the financial stress than older generations. And that's where I think, as leaders, being very in tune with members of your team, doing things like, helping them and honoring the personal side of their life and providing resources for them are really just great solutions to human capital. Joe, I have given you the mic. How are you, Joe?
I'm doing well, Tom. How are you?
Good. And I know you sent me something after last week call about agility, and I never responded to you. My apologies. Sounds like agility for you last week was a hot topic also. Let's go there just for a quick sec first.
I'm so proud of Qnity because they were covering what's, to me, the buzz in the business world, right, is agility. We have to be agile to survive and to continue to lead. Something about being concerned about the whole employee. We had a big aha at our last all staff meeting because I listened to a TED talk by Esther Perel. She's spoken at Serious Business before. This was to owners and managers. And she really talked about how we need to give permission to our employees to be in a psychologically safe place to talk about the pandemic. So I gave 35 minutes at our staff meeting and then broke them into groups. And these were the questions. What was the most impactful thing you learned during this time? What did you learn about fear and anxiety? What did you learn about finances? What would you want the next generation to know about the pandemic? It was amazing. They connected, some of them cried, but it was really a point of reconnecting our team to this is why we're part of a team. It is because we aren't alone in this. And Esther Perel talks about that during her TED talk, that, this is a collective experience. And that really brought reassurance to my mostly young staff. And we are hopeful and wanting to get the Life Map trainer 2 trios sometime in October. Because we feel like it's going to be investment in them just to give them that what they need to get to that next step now that the pandemic hopefully is winding down and we don't see a resurgence.
So who else is inspired by what Joe just said than me? I mean, I think that's amazing, Joe, what you did. Rebecca, you read my damn mind here. Can you post that in the chat? Joe, Rebecca beat me to it. Would you please post in the chat the questions?
Yes, I will. Thank you, Tom.
Joe, that's good. I miss you, man. I got to get out to Colorado. I'm just going
you do
crazy.
got to get to Colorado.
All right. We had April. April, let's see where you are. All right, April. April McDaniel, CPA. Hello, April. Let's get you asked to unmute.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes. How are you, April?
Hey, I'm great, Tom. So this really isn't a CPA question, right? But I'm excited that you're talking about this because I think that if we can connect all of those things that make us up as individuals, our jobs, our spirituality, the physical side, emotional side, social, occupational, I know I'm forgetting one, but if we can connect all of that together, there's such benefit to our employees, not only in their personal lives, but what that does to the company. I think that there's financial benefits to that as well as personal benefits. So I'm really, really excited that you're talking about this, and I'm glad that I got to be on today's call to hear it. So
I'm going to draft you. I've been threatening to. Okay, so I'm supposed to call on someone else here, and I just finally figured out where these hands show up. They show up on my attendee list, so I will call on Candice and what. But April, as long as I got you here, I'm going to send you this article, Younger Americans Bearing the Brunt of Pandemic Financial Stress. And I will, maybe you'll comment on that later, but there's some just amazing statistics. So April, if you feel like you want to jump into that conversation when I get to that, we'll invite you back. But meanwhile, I'm going to get over to Candice. All right. Good morning, Candice Gliatto.
Good morning. How are you?
Are you with Forrest?
No, he's slept over at his cousin's house, so
Okay.
no crazy interruptions today.
All right. Well, you've got the mic. It was something about a new hire. Take the mic.
Yeah, well, I was just I shared with you guys a little bit last week, but I, as a trainer, have done some life map webinars and life map sessions in my salon. And the last one I did, I had a stylist register for it, not one of my stylists. And she was so moved by it that so empowered and loved that, our other team members were there and that we were taking this holistic approach to, supporting them and mentoring them, that she actually applied for a job, which is a huge deal because it's so hard to find stylists these days. So using that life map and that approach really led to a new hire, and a great hire at that. So it was very exciting.
Since part of my job is to equate this to financial, what is this worth to you, one employee? Have you ever
Oh my gosh.
And I'm going to sort of contradict what's in this article. And it's like, not treat employees as assets and commoditize. At the end of the day, we are running businesses here, and there is a such thing as return on investment that we're not going to ignore on these calls. And so to me, your return is got to be huge. I mean, especially where you live in the Bay Area. An individual employee, I don't know what the average is. Is this someone that has some experience?
Yeah, it's actually somebody who's been in the industry for a really long time, has a ton of experience. So it's not only just a stylist, it's like a master level stylist, what would be a master level stylist at our salon, and somebody who's like just fiercely loyal. She's like, I'm coming, I'm going to retire here. I'm going to be here for a long time. And so it was really exciting to see that it wasn't necessarily about, some crazy benefit that we offered or, all these other perks. It was literally just about caring in a holistic way like that made her feel inspired to make a big move. So
that's a great story, Candice. And I did hear about this, and Aaron said, call on Candice. And it was like, yeah, I'm aware of that story. And it's and I asked the question, what is this worth financially? This is at least 6 figures. And if the stay over multiple years is a $500,000 person, that we're not going to commoditize this person. It's not going to be an asset, or we're not going to call it an asset, but the reality is this is a $500,000 hire for you probably.
Oh yeah, it's a huge impact on the business. And then also just a huge impact as a leader. It feels good to be able to do something like that for somebody, or be able to offer that opportunity.
Okay.
This person lost a ton of weight, like fixed her relationship with her husband, all these crazy things that she put on her life map that she was able to get done. So a good hire, a happy hire, all love.
Okay. Excellent. Candice, thank you. Stay connected here, and you might want to jump in. So I am going to switch the topic on everybody. And then I do want to make sure we've got Robert Cromeans here that I'm dying to bring into the conversation about human capital. I've also got Sam Brocato on standby here. He's got some really clear thoughts that I want to make sure that he's able to share with you. But I want to go over to this topic of younger Americans bearing the brunt of pandemic stress. I'm going to turn someone on mute there. There we go. Okay. So this is an article, this will excite all of you, by the American Institute of CPAs. Which they actually have very good information. So, all right, here's the stats. Young adults are 3 times more likely to experience pandemic-related financial stress. 9 in 10 young adults who've experienced stress about their financial situation say it's had a negative impact on their mental well-being. And this category is 18 to 34 years old, which 18 to 34-year-old, that's 75% have talked about, so 3 out of 4 have had stress about their financial situation. No surprise here. But older members are not having that same kind of financial stress. Financial stress, this is what the article says, financial stress at any age can have a negative impact on a person's well-being. For many younger Americans, this is the first time they've experienced this level of economic uncertainty, whereas older generations have already lived through recessions and depressions. I'd love to get some hands raised on this one. And I have some really, really strong opinions and actual solutions around this, a solution that you'll hear about when we make a major announcement coming up in the future weeks. Yes, we're going to have a major announcement, everybody. And, some of the things that this article does is steps Americans can do to help reduce financial stress and anxiety. As employers, if your workforce is in that range, there is going to be this situation for many. So I'm curious what solutions we might have. Here's a few others. So I'd love to see some hands raised on this part of the conversation. Here's some other survey findings. Financial stress is much higher for renters. I don't mean renters of suites. I mean renters versus homeowners. Okay. And it was also just how big of an impact this has on people's daily life. And the reality is you're going to have employees and they might not tell you that they're experiencing this stress. So anyway, I'd love to see if people would like to be in the conversation. Raise your hand. And who has some comments about this? April, maybe you do. So come off mic or raise your hand or something. Oh, April. All right. All right, April, back at you.
Hi, thanks again, Tom. So I think, one of the things that our firm is doing that I think really would transition along to really any employer is to ask your people. I think sometimes we shy away from asking those questions. And so I love the prior questions that Joe put out there. I think we just need to ask the question, are you okay? What can we do to help you be okay? This has been a trying year for everybody, I think, and for different reasons, whether it was closures, extended closures, losing people. For us in the accounting and tax world, it was all of these programs impacted our clients, typically in a good way, but caused a lot of work for us. And so it's been extremely stressful. I think that being open to what they tell you is important. That listen to understand, not listening to react, right away. Being willing to make some changes maybe in what used to be because you need to react to the amount of stress that these people have been under. For example, I'll just talk about me personally for a second, and then I know you have other people you need to talk to. But I realized during that time that I was spending a lot of time focusing on work and maybe a little less time focusing on my family than what I wanted. And if I could do it again, maybe I'd change a little bit of that. And my firm's fully supportive of whatever I need to do to make that happen. So that means it makes their jobs harder. As the boss, it's harder because you might have to hire somebody else to help, but it keeps your people happy. So not only listening because you've asked the question, but making sure that you're willing to take the time to understand and look for a solution.
Great share, April. So on point. Thank you for that. So Sam, I've been dying to get you into the conversation this morning. I can't believe it's already 36 minutes into this or whatever, but Sam, do you want to weigh in on any of these things that we just discussed? And then also the thing you shared with me yesterday was amazing. So good morning, by the way, Sam. I haven't heard your voice yet.
Yeah, good morning, Tom. Good to be here. You hear me?
Yeah, can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Yeah. First off, I totally agree with you. We don't ask the people that work with us and work around us, take their temperature, take their financial temperature, their psychological temperature, get a sense of how the world is unfolding. And I think it's important that we recognize that different marketplaces are going to have a different demand on people. Someone walks out the front door of our salon and they get on a train and they go out to Queens or Brooklyn or wherever. It's a different energy than going out into the privacy of your car and putting NPR on and cruising home into your driveway. Not that it's just a different energy. So you have to understand what you're managing. So it may be the case that the person that's in Minneapolis driving home to their family, Their pressures and stresses are about the interaction with the family, where ours is a single young lady that's getting on a train and interacting with the public. So we're constantly talking to people and finding out where they are. And the financial part of it has been huge. Thankfully, we're coming out of that, but it has been a big impact on everyone. And we've just said to them, you can ask us and tell us anything in the world. And I think I've said before, we've given people money and they thought it was a loan, and then we forgave the money and told them it's a grant. We don't want to loan you money. We're in the business of building team with you, not lending you money. So we'll help you work through it. So that's my thought on the article and the idea of people.
I love it. I mean, it's, and you said something, I want to piggyback on the safe environment. I don't even know who just said that, about the safe environment, because safe, I think maybe it was you, Joe. Got to make sure I give credit to the right person. That's part of what you're also suggesting here is the safe environment, Sam, is to create a sanctuary for members of your team that may not exist for outside the walls of your business. Yeah. So, and yesterday was the first day we took down some of the, like at the front desk, I call them the spit guards, sneeze guards. We stopped temperature checks. We stopped sign-in, and we kept the mask on and things like that. But it was a big moment for us, and in the salon, sending this new and different message of openness, and you could feel everybody relax a little more. And that's why I said to you in that text message, what is your pace, and are you aware of what's happening? That we are in not a race, but obviously it's a marathon. It's called work, life, and business. But we're pacing ourselves a certain way, and we have to be really, really present as a leader, and then reminded the team members, pace. So we're going out little by little and sending the messaging to our guests that here's exactly how we're thinking about it. That means we're open to listening to their ideas and how we're executing the pace of reopening and all. Again, we are in New York City. It's a very crowded place. And for those of you who saw the photos of it not being crowded for a long time, trust me, it's completely berserk here with human beings everywhere again. Wow. Boy, I remember when that seemed like such a distant reality. All right, let's go to the other coast. Morning, Robert. How are you?
What's up, Tom?
How's the Savvy Pirate today?
I'm good. I've been stealing tons of stuff over the internet all weekend long. And that's what I said to you yesterday. I'm like just discovering, and again, wasn't hair related, but it's how we interpret words. So I'm, you know me, like you, I love good words. So I sent you over a little love note yesterday.
Well, it's a great love note. And I think that we should share this with everybody. It's human capital. And you not only sent me a little love note, but you actually sent me a really cool concept. You know, it's almost a presentation about human capital. And I want to go through that because I think this group's going to love it. What did you actually call this? Was it Get Going and Keep Going? Is that right?
No, well, the first thing I talked about that you'll love is I started with Clubhouse. I said a higher power, HIRE, higher power. And somebody got on and thought I was talking about Jesus. I'm like, oh, at least I got your attention. I'm not trying to be sacrilegious. So that's how I started the presentation. So I actually did this with a business group yesterday. And I'll just be clear and transparent. Some of these ideas came from being on these incredible calls. So the first slide I put up there was human capital. And I quoted you, Tom Kuhn, because to me, I love that word as a sort of caption on Jeopardy. If that was a question on Jeopardy, human capital, I'll take human capital for 1,000, Tom. You know, it's just, to me, it's a beautiful way to look at this thing, because a lot of what I suffer from, and I think we heard this, I want to say, Liz, you know, the dialogue. You hear people in the UK talk about their staff. My wife said that's an infection. And the word I picked up from her was family. This is really what I want to do, is to invite them in. So we talked about some of the stats that we had learned together as a group, the 70% of people saying they do want to work in a salon, and the why. We talked about the flexibility. And this is the big part that I think most legacy businesses have, the way they do stuff. And I learned this weekend from Nicole Cumberlander. It's an employee's market right now. I mean, I was at Home Depot this week. They're hiring. Subway are hiring. Starbucks, everybody is hiring. They're paying $22 an hour at Taco Bell. Get the heck out of here. I'm making a career shift. You should join me. We look awesome in that uniform.
You and Mary, yes. So I you just said something, but then you said something else. You talk so fast, sometimes I can't keep up with you. Keep going. I mean, I saw what you put here. So you talked about flexibility. Oh, I know what it was. Last time I had you on here, which by the way was one of my favorite sessions, Robert. I really loved that conversation. I didn't get a word in edgewise, but that's okay. And you talked at that time about legacy companies. And I think what you're suggesting is companies will get very mature and they may not move quick enough. And so when you talk about a legacy company, since this is the second time you brought that up, let's quote, unpack, I know you love that word, idea a little bit. When you say legacy company, and there's an assumption there that maybe they're not flexible and agile enough. So let's go there a little bit more.
Well, I just think it's just because we stick to this is the way we do things around here. And I think with COVID, it opened up my mind that I could change things. And we talked about this on the first call.
Yeah.
My team were set in their ways. So if I talk about dismantling an assistant program, that would have been a walkout. And after COVID, they see the value in it, not because I tricked them into it, just the world changed, the world shifted. And I said this the other day, I think you loved it. It's not our age, it's the age we're in. And I think this is a big part of it. So, the other thing that I think that is really critical on that, and I've heard it again from echoed on people up on here. Why do people work here? The old way we used to say everything was about education. Now, as far as a disclaimer, even Paul Mitchell in 1980, we said, buy the product, we'll give you a class. Now I have so much information on the internet, this information highway that's available to everybody, you and me, and people are still using substreets. So the reality of what we want to know is there. And from these roundtables and everything else I expose myself to, I'm in the most learning part. So we have got a question. One of my favorite songs back in the 90s was Rip It Up and Start Over. At some point, you have to have that courage to rip it up and start over, to start visualizing what it could be for based on what you know today. I got this quote, and I think I got it just for you. The journey of business is harder than you think, but when you get there, it's easier than you thought. I thought that's $1 million light bulb idea. We go through it, and the hard work that's necessary is a big part of it. But to me, when you look back on it, oh my God, that wasn't so hard. So as you start to get abilities and start to dream up. And that's why I love things like Clubhouse and this exposure. I get to wrestle with ideas I'd never think of doing on my own, but I hear other people having conversations. And I wrestle with it going, well, what that would do for me? Pay attention to the 70% of the industry who work alone. They're rebooking every appointment. They're doing all the transactional side of the business themselves. So why couldn't my team take on some of that responsibility? It's just a case we've been so used to having a middleman. And I love your point of view on the middle, and I've been using it all day. The pirates in action, but meet me in the middle. And it's kind of like the old Goldilocks and the Three Bears. What did she like? Oh, this one's just right. The middle's a great ground, but you also have to dabble in other conversations with the extremes of it. So, to me, the ability to hire in this new world is very, very different. So having a heart is really important. Obviously people need the heart. A couple of other things I got on mentorship, which I want to share with you because they're just so good. Others believe in you until you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
That happened with me. Kids believed in me long before I ever did. More people knew I was a brand long before I ever recognized it. So I love that as a mentorship. And then that one day that kid steps on stage or behind the chair and they're their own identity, their own brand. And I think it's a big part. And the other thing I got this week, which I loved, if you're only going to do it once, Tom, don't bother, because it's about the consistency of the structure. So if you've got to be prepared to do it 100 or 1,000 times, and I love that. So if I tell somebody before you do somebody's hair, take a before shot, they're like, well, I did it once, it didn't work for me. Are you prepared to do it 100 times? If you're going to elevate the consultation, are you prepared to do it each and every time? These are the consistencies. And I think this is something we got to look at, even from coaching. I am proud to say after COVID, I have worked with my team every quarter consistently for the last 3 one-on-one coaching, which I was never able to achieve in the old way. And some of this is technological, but I'm just saying in the comfort of your own living room, I can coach you. I call it couching because I want you to chill out. You're not in my office. You're not in remand, chill out, couching. I learned this on Clubhouse. This guy said, I'm a couch. I think they meant to say coach, but I said, no, let's have a easy conversation.
Who loves couching? I love that. That is just hilarious. Sam and Robert. So Sam, maybe you can come off a mic just for a moment. I first of all, I see so many people on this call that I know admire both of you and have been inspired by both of you. And I want to give a shout out to Sam and Robert for both you guys showing up every week. And more importantly, is to have this lifelong learner approach. I mean, that's one of the things I love about you, Sam, is that you've kind of done everything. I don't know what else that you could possibly accomplish in this industry. And you're gonna give me this whole humble dance, which I'm gonna accept. But the reality is, Sam, you've accomplished a lot. Same with you, Robert. And you guys are lifelong learners and have a growth mindset. I think that's really cool. And I look at some of the younger members on this call. I heard from Carrie here. Carrie, good morning, Carrie. We should get you off mic one of these days. She said, I'm probably one of the only people on this call that fit that age range. Well, I hope that's not the case. I hope that we've got people in that age besides you, Carrie. I mean, we don't want to be for people my age, for goodness sakes. Anyway, but everything you're saying is 100% correct amongst my peers, even not in the salon world. The pandemic has changed the millennials' priorities completely. Carrie, that is a really great share. And so Sam, lifelong learning, growth mindset, how do you do it? I mean, how do you just keep that open mind and be a lifelong learner? I mean, I'm genuinely asking, not just for me, but for everybody on this call.
I would say, Tom, the first thing to do is narrow your focus, particularly as the years go by, and narrow your focus and say, these are the things I'm absolutely going to do. I'm going to keep strumming on my crazy little guitar because that calms me down. I'm going to keep writing something in my journal book every single day because that warms my heart and makes me feel humanity. I'm going to continue to listen to people that I truly believe are not only just survivors, but are very resourceful. That's why I love listening to Robert. And I told him from the beginning of the pandemic that, look, I know you're not a giver-upper. You're going to get this done. So I love listening to him. I listen to different people in the industry, and, up and down the ladder, I have a little list of who my the mentors that I listen to. And the other, I think it's important that we just realize that, what else are you going to do? Yes, you have hobbies. I have other hobbies and things I love to do, but I love people and I love to be around them. So if I had to have a big challenge in front of me, aside from the things that we're doing, we have successfully built this business in New York City from scratch, no clientele. We didn't start off coming from some other salon. We really have built, and it has been a hard ass build. But it's so funny because I've seriously considered going back down to Baton Rouge and seeing if I could run a business down there again, just as a hobby. I might get my butt kicked, but you know what? I'd still be in the game and doing things I love. So I think you have to be really focused and trusting and believing in your industry. And on the panel we were on yesterday, Tom, that is so important to me. That is so critical, and that we bond the industry together to speak as one voice. So like I said in my note to you yesterday, hopefully we'll find a way to bring it to life on these calls and let people know exactly what's going on there. So that's my thought.
Yeah, Sam, I don't know when we can go public on this think tank. I mean, it's I'll share a little bit now, but basically a bunch of all the major associations are starting to collaborate with each other to create a more unified front as it relates to things such as making the professional beauty industry a career of choice, aggressively addressing labor shortages, perception issues, major perception issues about this industry as it relates to earnings. And licensing, deregulation, license. There's a lot of issues. So Sam, you and I should do a session just on that. On the industry.
Yeah, and Steve also, I mean, because I think that it's not a big secret, but I just want to say this. We are well down the road. That meeting yesterday really brought together some very specific topics and things that we're going to bring to life starting in August. And there are about 30 people that have been working, given the free time from about 7 or so associations. And it is life-changing stuff for the industry. The more we speak as one voice, the easier it'll be to get things done. And I'll just close with this. In my humble opinion, a mobile license that when you get it, if you go to a Palm Beach or a Veda school, wherever in the country, that license is good anywhere. All you have to do is go sign in with the state that you're in. That adds value to the license. It makes mobility of licensing easier. And as I've been saying all along, Gianni, my son, has been now 15 months. He can't get a license in Georgia. 15 months. There are over 700 people in Tennessee that are backed up that don't have their license. Do you think those people are going to wait forever? No. They're going to go find another job.
Go to Taco Bell.
Yeah, you gotta go to Taco Bell.
Yeah.
That's all.
All right. Well, all right. Let's, Sam, we let the cat out of the bag here a little bit, and I guess it's okay to do that. So Sam and I are part of a industry think tank that was organized by people from Beauty Changes Lives, actually, but it's PBA, it's iSpa, it is Nail Association, it's Intercofure. Sheila's on the call here today, and each has representatives, and I'm totally honored to be part of this industry think tank. And I'm certainly going to take advantage of this platform with all of you to help tap into you, because we've got some issues in this industry that we can solve if that we do unite. So more on that in the later and in the future. That's not the announcement related with Qnity. That's a whole nother announcement. We'll save that for another week. But Sam, I asked you to co-host next week, the Roundtable. So the cat will be out of the bag on that. So I'm going to have, between you, Aaron, and Michelle, you're going to have the mic. And Robert, I'd make you a host too. I guess we'll make you a host also, Robert, but we've got to have someone else be the play-by-play. Otherwise, we're not going to get anything done. You'll talk the whole call. I love you like a brother. But perhaps you can sort of help co-host next week, Robert, as long as you can follow Sam and Michelle. Michelle, are you up for it, Robert? Sorry if I offended you there, by the way.
Come on, Robert.
You didn't listen. Compared to Sammy, one of your quotes, I'm an empty wagon. So let Sammy have the platform. I'll just interject where necessary. I think that, Sammy is something else. He always makes me want to do better, but I love where he shows up. He's all over Clubhouse. He's on this every week. And, it's no accident. I just think he's a hero in my mind. So I'll absolutely give the mic over or something like that. But I will join you. And anywhere you need me, you can count on me.
All right. Thanks to both you guys. All right. Let's see who's on the call here. And I want to acknowledge people and then also invite the rest of you to participate in the future. So Christine, April, Bridget, Candice, Joe, Robert, Sam, and Trent, thanks for dialing in. Good morning, Adam. I'm so glad you're joining us from Aura. Good morning, Amanda and Anna, Ashley, Bobby. We also have Jessica, I believe, and Christine B, Colleen. Good morning, Jackie. Glad you joined us. Same there, Janet and John and JP and Karen, two Karens. Carrie, thanks for your what you have put in the message there, Carrie. We should hear from you more often. We should hear from a lot of you more often. Also, Kelly, good morning, Con, thanks for jumping in last week. Leah, Leon, thanks for joining us. And Lisa and Latilia, Louisa, good morning, Mark, Melanie, Melissa, Nina. Nina, you should jump in the future. Rebecca, you should jump in the future. Good morning, Sam. Also, Sam H, which I'll be seeing you next week. I'm excited about that. Sandra, Shay, Sheila, and Terry. All right, guys, thank you for another great session. Let me know what you think about it. We will be getting into things such as think tank, uniting the industry. We'll also get into topics related with P&L. And I'm seeing it's 55 minutes after the hour. And let me see what else I got to share with you guys. Whoops, I got to do my job here. Hold on here. What else do we have to cover? All right. So anyway, light bulb goes to you guys. Thank you so much. All right, life map, since this came up, I didn't actually plan on putting the slide in here, but this is what I was talking about in terms of a way to look at your staff as a whole human, is to break it down into what we call these 5 L's, because they all end in AL. This is a tool I introduced like 12 years ago. Was one of Aaron's favorite parts of the program. Then we took it out because we had too much material. And then we relaunched the life map, and now the life map is like on steroids. So many people are using the life map to really create that environment for people to go through what their dreams are, not just financial, but all the other areas of their life. So anyway, if you're interested in doing this, send Aaron a message, go to our website. It's very easy, it's very inexpensive, and it's more than anything, it's a fresh way to look at your business. This is a very fuzzy image of the life map, shame on me, but basically it's a 13x19 tool. There's images and people can create their future. Love this quote, all progress starts when you tell the truth. I hope that you heard people's truth today. We'd love to hear from more of you guys in the future. A lot of things going on in the transition community. I'll continue to share examples in future weeks. We do have a school roundtable coming up in just 63 minutes. If you are in the school business, please join us and raise your hand there. And closing thoughts, I will miss you guys for the 50th week. You'll be in very good hands with Sam, with Robert jumping in, and Michelle, and between Michelle and Aaron, they'll also host. And I love this quote: if you want to fly, you have to give up the things that weigh you down. But I also want to make sure I leave you with something we started with, and that is, as you look at today, remember, in a moment of happiness is always a good place to catch yourself. All right. Have a happy day, happy rest of the week, and we'll see you soon.